Hey, what's up everyone? This is SKULM, and in this video we're going to talk about the latest Diablo 4 Season 2 Season of Blood patch changes. Now, the second developer livestream has just ended and we have the patch notes in front of us. I have briefly looked over the notes. I am not going to cover everything here. This is just going to focus on Necromancer only changes. And now there might be some other changes that have not been placed in these notes, so please take this information with a grain of salt. Anyway, I want to jump right in to the Necromancer section, but before that, I am going to talk about some of the new unique items. For the Necromancer, we have Blood Moon Breaches. It's a unique pant, and basically it makes your minions apply curses. Now, this is probably a replacement for the Decrepit Aura Malignant Heart from Season 1. And basically, your minions now have a chance to curse enemies, and enemies affected by at least one of your curses take increased overpower damage from you. The fact that your minions can now curse enemies is a great change. I am not sure if you need to put the curse ability on your bar or not. We will have to test that, but in any way, this is an interesting approach. So keep an eye out for this one. And then we have some legendary aspects. I'm actually interested in the movement speed one, but I think with the vampiric power that makes your evades make you turn into an unstoppable cloud of bats, I think Ghost Walker will be better than this, to be fair. And then, of course, we have some changes on items. This is a huge patch notes. I am not going to go through everything, as I said. But anyway, aspect of the long shadow, this is a necromancer offensive aspect. On lucky hits, your shadow of dots have 10 to 30% chance to generate 3 essence. Damage from your shadow blight key passive will always generate 2 essence. This is going to be a little bit important in the upcoming section. I am going to talk about it. As I said, I have briefly glazed over these patch notes. I may miss some stuff. Please feel free to write that in the comments. But in any way, I am going to skip through the item enhancements and the new changes. I am not interested in. I am interested, but it's not the subject for this video. Also for the dungeon changes, there are some good changes overall. Feel free to take a look at these. Also, end game activities have some nice changes overall. But again, I am more interested in experience. First of all, we have a massive experience buff, but most importantly, the Necromancer. Basically, that's what I'm interested in. This change has been documented before. So your Necromancer skeletons, I mean minions, including Golem, are much less likely to target immune enemies, basically. So they're not going to waste their damage on an enemy that is invulnerable. In any way, we will continue. Of course, I want to keep the pace up in this video. And we're going to come to the balance updates. Now, some unique items have received some changes, and this is the first of many. This is going to be an insane buff to Ring of Mendeln. I'm actually surprised. However, there is going to be an offset in this video, so stay tuned. I'm going for it. Now, the resistance changes and everything, you can read through, or you can just catch me up while I'm live streaming. But in any way, these are good changes overall, I would say. Now you can craft potions. I'm skipping through these. Now armor only reduces physical damage taken, and resistances reduce elemental damage taken. So that's also important. I am actually curious about disobedience versus might, because might is still going to be 20% damage reduction. And now disobedience will only work towards reducing physical damage taken. So that's important, something to keep an eye on. And damage bucket updates. This is pretty interesting. In summary, you no longer benefit from mixing critical strike and vulnerable as much as you did before season 2. Now the synergy benefits is still there, but it's less compared to previous seasons or preseason Necromancer. This might be interpreted as a nerf to Bone Spear Necromancer or maybe even Ring of Mendeln, but overall, you can actually focus on one of your main stats and then add some complementarities to your main stat. So you're not mandated to get certain amount of crit then certain amount of vuln. You can just go double crit on swords, for example, and actually critical strike damage FX on swords has increased by 100%. Paragon glyphs have been increased, so you will most likely get more benefit from investing heavily into critical strike if you're like a bone spear necromancer. Anyway, I am skipping this. This is an important buff. So Death's Defense passive, which prevents your minions from getting one shots, is now baseline. Okay, and now all minions will only take up to 30% of their maximum life in a single hit as damage. This is baseline. Now the new Death's Defense is different. They have reworked it, and we're gonna have a look at that. Now Skeletal Warriors Inherit Thorns has been changed. This affix now works for all minions. So the new affix is all minions inherit Thorns. It's not going to be individually Skeletal Warriors, Mages, or Golems. It's just going to say minions. Another affix, minions inherit critical strike chance. This is going to be also important. Cooldown reduction can now appear on shields, and shields have armor value. So Lidless Ball buffed. And also Blood Orbs also heal your minions by default. Anyway, Prime Army of the Dead buffed. Now it's actually drops a corpse guaranteed. So if you cast Army of the Dead, it will leave behind a corpse guaranteed. Hemorrhage and some blood abilities are now going to fortify you based on your maximum life, not your base life. This is a buff. So the more maximum life you have, the more fortify you're going to generate. And then Dreadful Bone Prison also has been changed. It's also scales with your maximum life for the fortify amount. Now Death's Defense, again, this is baseline. The new one grants your minions armor and resistance to all elements. So you can make your minions way more tankier, okay? So it's redesigned, as they said. Terror, this is for the Shadow Necromancers. It's good. I still wouldn't recommend it, but it is what it is. Standalone description has been updated. So increases damage reduction by 6, 12, 18% when you have no minions. Each active minion reduces this bonus by 2%. Drain Vitality, the Fortify again. This is a Fortify rework. Necrotic Carapace as well, Fortify rework. Instead of base life, it now scales off your maximum life. Ratma's Vigor, this is good for the Blood Necromancers. Now, after being healthy for 12 seconds, your next blood skill overpowers. This timer is reduced by 2 seconds each time blood orbs heal or overheal you for an amount greater than or equal to your base life. So this is an overall change, and it's actually a good change, I would say. It's consistent, more consistent, focused. Shadow Blight has also been changed. So the previous version would say Shadow damage infects enemies with Shadow Blight for 2 seconds. We know that. You and your minions deal 10% bonus damage to enemies with Shadow Blight. Every 10th time an enemy reaches shadow damage from you or your minions while they're affected by Shadow Blight, they take an additional 22% shadow damage. Now, the new Shadow Blight says shadow damage infects enemies with Shadow Blight for 2 seconds. Every 10th time an enemy receives shadow damage from you or your minions while they are affected by Shadow Blight, they take an additional 22% shadow damage. Shadow Blight's damage is increased by 100% of your shadow damage over time bonus. Overall, the Ring of Mendeln Necromancer would use Shadow Blight, the old Shadow Blight, because the the initial section of the ability would actually give you 10% damage increase. Yeah? So if the enemy had Shadow Blight on them, you would deal 10%, you and your minions, but Ring of Mendeln does not scale off your minions, it scales off your damage. So you had 10% multiplicative damage bonus to enemies on the previous version. Now you don't have that anymore. This will serve Infinimist actually. Shadow Blight's damage is increased by 100% of your Shadow damage over time bonus. Okay? Not the Ring of Mendel. This is making Shadow Blight lean towards the Infinimist or some other Shadow Necromancer builds that may appear. Although I'm pretty skeptical about that. Anyway, Transfusion, Blood Orbs, they heal your minions. Now, on lucky hit, Blood skills have 369% chance on hit to spawn a Blood Orb. This can only occur every 4 seconds. This chance is doubled against bosses. Again, a minor change. Gruesome Mending, again, lets you get more healing. Inspiring Leader is buffed. The health duration requirement is now 2 seconds, down from 4 seconds. So, if you're healthy, within 2 seconds, you get the Inspiring Leader attack speed bonus. Nerf to Ossified Essence, not good for Bone Spear Necromancers. Damage percent per essence past 50 reduced from 1% to 0.5%. They said in the slides that this is still a very strong contender, blah, 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 but I don't like this nerf, to be fair. I think I need to see the Paragon notes and the other changes to compensate for this, but Bone Spear Necromancer needs survivability and mobility. Okay, maybe the damage is busted a bit, but I don't think it still needed this nerf. I mean, Bulwark Druid exists in this game, okay? So, yeah, there's that. Bonded in Essence, cooldown increased from 5 to 8 seconds. Who cares? Book of the Dead changes. Some innate abilities of your skeletal minions have been changed. So the sacrifice bonuses, the defender warriors now give 20% resistance to all elements. We don't care. Skirmishers got a damage buff. So the base damage increased from 0.11 to 0.14. And the defenders have also received a damage buff. Now, I need to ask a question here. Since they have made all these fortify changes, which fortifies you based on maximum life instead of base life, I don't see Reapers. Do Skeletal Reapers still fortify me for base life, or do they now fortify me based on max life? I do not see this change on the patch notes, and this is actually concerning. If Skeletal Reapers do not grant me fortify based on my max life, it's actually going to be bad. I might still take them because they generate corpses, but this is going to be really bad because Skeletal Reapers are actually good for generating fortify and corpses at the same time. That makes up for their, slow attacks and whatnot. Whereas you can have multiple skirmishers and which deal more damage, obviously. But this is an interesting question, so let me know down in the comments. What do you think is going to happen? Golems received a buff, basic attack damage increase, whatever. Some minor buffs to Iron Golem, Blood Golem, and then Race Skeleton. The priest actually got buffed. When you have maximum amount of your skeletons, all of your army alive, if you press Race Skeleton on a corpse, you would spawn a skeletal priest. Now it stays up for 8 seconds, and the total healing increased from 15% to 25%. And the Bone Made Sacrifice, overpower bonus reduced, so that's a nerf. So we have some Paragon node change. Mage Paragon Glyphs additional bonus has been changed. Now it would actually grant 25% resistance to all elements to skeletal mages. Now it's all minions, 35% resistance. The Skeletal Warrior, on the other hand, now grants 30% increased armor to all minions again. Infused Caster rare node, Skeletal Mages resistance to all elements, now minion resistance to all elements. Flesh Horror, again, instead of Golem, it's all minions. And now, plus percent minion armor on Paragon nodes has been increased from 4 to 8% on rares and 2 to 4 on magic. Plus percent Skeletal Warriors armor on Paragon has been increased to, again, 6.5 to 14 and 3.2 to 7. Same goes for golems, and then total armor, while golems are active on Paragon nodes, have been buffed again. Hulking Monstrosity has been changed. Golem damage received a 60% buff, so from 40 to 100 it jumped. Infused Warrior rare node, Skeleton Warrior damage has been increased. Infused Caster, Skeletal Mage damage has been increased, and Frenzied Golem, again, has been increased. Patience Golem damage has been buffed. Infused Golem rare node has been buffed. and the corporeal rare glyph has been fixed. Paragon nodes within range gain 40% bonus to their physical, plus 40% bonus to their physical damage and damage reduction modifiers. Now all magic nodes within range have their effects increased by 150%. Okay, this is actually a good change. This is really good. Wither, actually now the description displays your current chance to trigger the current value of bonus damage. It's good. Bloodbath has been changed. Now it's a nerf. Attacks that are guaranteed. Actually, this is debatable. So it would say attacks that are guaranteed to overpower deal 50% increase over power damage. Now it says all overpowered attacks deal 35% increase over power damage. So I'm not sure if this is a nerf or not. It might not be actually. So, an interesting change. The wording is important to, catch. Bone Graft received a nerf. This is a bad news. This is bad for Bone Spear Necromancer. So the maximum essence per stack reduced from 3 to 2, and the maximum essence reduced from 24 to 16. Wither no longer requires willpower. It scales from intelligence. Darkness, again, from intelligence. Scourge, from intelligence as well. Blood Artisan's Cuirass received a change. Total armor is now replaced with bonus max life. Deathless Visage actually got a little bit damage nerf, but the total armor now is gone. It now provides damage reduction. I mean, we're gonna get Shaco anyway, so who cares? The Echoes left behind, blah blah blah. Some little piece damage there. Who cares about this, really? And then the damage has been nerfed as well. Bloodless Scream used to be my favorite at one time. Chill amount has been increased from 40 to 100, and damage to frozen enemies is gone. Now it grants bonus intelligence. And now the unique power has the following effect added. Darkness skills deal actually 20 times to 50% bonus damage to frozen enemies. Again, the Death Speaker has been changed, but most importantly, Ring of Mendeln no longer requires 7 or more minions to be active. This is a buff to Ring of Mendeln. I was expecting a nerf, but this is a buff. However, there is a nerf that is upcoming in this video. Great change for Lidless Wall. Damage to distant enemies FX replaced with bonus max life. So, you're going to be tankier with this. Anyway, legendary aspects. Hulking aspect will appear on chest armor, boots, gloves, amulets, and shields. Again, these are good. Hardened bones no longer requires 7 or more minions. Overall, we didn't care about this because Ring of Mendeln Necromancer just, goes for damage. And it's still going to be like that. But, there is a very easy to miss, extremely important bit of information here. And if you have followed me to this point, you will not regret it. Okay? Let's have a read. Fixed multiple issues where bone prison in certain situations and locations could negatively affect NPC behavior or quest and event progression. Fixed an issue where ghastly bone prison's vulnerable effect could trigger lucky hits. This is boom. This is a big nerf on Ring of Mendeln Necromancer. Now, of course, we have theory crafted at one point they would obviously fix the bone prison glitch, but this is a big slap. Now, instead of on-demand lucky hit bone prison, if you watched my video, you know what I'm talking about. I have released a prediction video. Instead of bone prison, I am thinking now the Ring of Mendeln Necromancer will go for Bone Spear because Bone Spear has 50% lucky hit chance. Okay, so any type of ability, any type of power that would grant the Necromancer extra essence is now welcome, which of course means utilizing a certain type of skeletal mage that gives you essence back, right? Now essence is incredibly important. Ring of Mendeln also loses the 10% damage multiplier from Shadow Blight. So there are some buffs and nerfs to Ring of Mendeln Necromancer. Obviously, with this effect, I am pretty sure that they want us to play a Minion Necromancer rather than a Ring of Mendeln Necromancer, but I am really sorry to say I don't think the minions will have that damage. Still, I don't think the Minion Necromancer can come close to the Ring of Mendeln Necromancer, so I think the best Minion Necromancer build is still going to be some sort of Ring of Mendeln Necromancer that is going to hunt for lucky hits somewhere else. Um, Increasing lucky hit chance when you have a barrier active, implementing Bone Storm into the fray. Potentially Lidless Wall might also be a case, but it doesn't like minions. But we will see. We will see. Um, Definitely Bone Spear is going to replace Bone Prison since this bug is eliminated now. So this is going to be extremely important when you're playing Ring of Mendeln. Again, you can still play Bone Spear instead of Bone Prison and, hunt for lucky hits. Actually, it might be even better, to be fair. We will see. Anyway, there are some other changes, but again, I think this was the biggest change, and most people will miss this change. So, I hope you're happy that you watched this video because I caught it for you. I am going to go over some other changes as well, but again, it's not going to be as, detailed as this. So there are some tooltip changes on Lidless Wall, nothing major, nothing super fancy. And anyway, there are some other changes to corporeal glyphs physical damage bonus. Again, bonus physical damage to nodes within range has been changed to magic damage. So now it grants bonus damage, like it multiplies, yeah? So these are the Necromancer changes, and I have also covered some other general changes. I hope this was informative. I will be releasing more videos in the near future about the best Necromancer specs in Season 2. We still have a lot to analyze. We still have a lot to test. I have asked some questions throughout this video. I want to know about your opinions on this, so let me know down in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.